Welcome, everyone, to the Game Vault Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Schuster. Joining me tonight are Jenny Aquino and Mark Myers. Tonight we'll be discussing the latest Sony rumors, games that put us in a spring mood, and we'll be reviewing our Retro Roulette game, The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX for the Nintendo Gameboy. But before we get to all of that, what have you guys been playing? Mark, let's start with you.
All right, so I actually got back into a game that may or may not have been the number one game of 2020. I got to beat up my father a lot. So for those of you that don't know, I've gotten back into Hades. God, that game is so good. So basically, I have gotten to the point, and it's probably because at this point I have beaten the game, not beaten the whole game. You know, it's going to take me a while before I get the true ending. But I got the 10 clears and all that. You know, I think it's spoilers are over that I can say that 10 clears is the real ending in that game. So I turned on God mode, so now I just can clear it with ease at this point. So it's fun. And basically I just go through and just cleaning up some stuff, getting all the boons from each one, giving them all their stuff to up our relationship. Finding out that what's her name? Artemis gets white girl wasted, which is fun. After you give her, I think it's either ambrosia or the nectar. Forget which one. She comes back and talks about having a party with some of the girls up there, and so it's pretty funny. The writing is still top notch. So I'm up to almost 20 clears, maybe more.
Nice.
On that, it's probably more than 20 at this point. I'm up to heat level 9. I've cleared it with of 20, I believe, or 30. But I'm probably never going to get up to 30 because that means turning everything on to maximum, and I'm not that good at the game. So I think my goal is really to get all the boons, and to level up everything to get the true ending is probably where I'm going with that. But yeah, it's like I was almost late to a couple streams because I had gotten up to Hades, and then you guys were like, "Hey, we're about to jump on Apex." I'm like, I'll be right there. But yeah, it's still I'm finding some good combinations I like and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's and I just got it for Switch so that I can play it on the go. So that's the main thing I've been playing. I besides playing Apex and all the stuff with you guys, played some Super Mario 3D World. I'm on World 6, which is great for me by myself playing a Mario game. Nice. But still trying to 100% it all the way through, but now getting to the point where let me just get to the end and then go back because some of them are becoming impossible. Or I may need 2 players to actually do it because some of the stars are hidden behind. You have to be certain characters for the level, so I got to go through the levels 2 times anyway because I don't know which character is which. I played the last 3.5 worlds as Peach because that floaty jump is amazing for someone like me to get my bearings if I mistime something.
Gives you a little leeway.
Yeah. We'd love to play it as a group with people. It'd be fun, but that's about it. Just waiting on the big news, which I'll let Tom reveal, and checking out some big games on there once we get it. And I bought a new monitor. That's about the only other new thing because my old one literally died. Power was still on. It was still reading as connected, but there was nothing on the display. And if I turned it off and turned it back on, the display would come on and then disappear. So I was pretty sure it's the monitor. Went out, bought a new monitor, hooked it up with the same wires. It works perfect. So definitely the monitor. So I think the most I'll play with that, like Tom was saying, it's only 60, hertz, refresh rate and all that. The most I would play directly on that screen might be like something like Civilization, so I don't really need 120 to play that. So looking forward to being able to play those games that I need mouse and keyboard for and instead of setting up some like TV dinner tray table in front of the big TV to be able to do, or playing it from an angle. So yeah, that's about all I have. I think I'm probably going to play Outriders next week or whenever that comes out, because that's on Game Pass. So definitely going to check that out. So, and then, just basically looking through and counting down the days to, June, for reasons. But, yeah. So, that's about it. I don't think I've played any sports games really. Haven't played any more tennis. So yeah.
Sounds good. All right, Jen, how about you?
I've been playing most of the same games that I usually talk about. Dead by Daylight, a little bit less than usual.
Uh-oh. Is it Trouble in Paradise?
Still Trouble in Paradise. There's another ranking system bug where sometimes you don't pip correctly, and even if you get enough points in game, it still gives you a -1, so you depip. I'm just getting really tired of that kind of stuff. I put way too much time into the game to be dealing with it. And the last time that I played, I was playing with randoms, which is usually not the best idea anyway. And it was just so many games of just not fun game time for me. And that's the most important thing to me. If you're going to play a game, you should be having fun while you do it in some capacity. So I just wasn't enjoying it last time. So it's kind of sad, but I'm not quitting it completely. I'm waiting for the new killer to come out. The next chapter, I believe, is launching next week.
Mm-hmm.
So the first week of April. So hopefully that'll rekindle my interest in it. But I'm just not playing it as much. I've been playing a lot of Phasmo. And that's actually kind of the polar opposite of Dead by Daylight. The developer is constantly making updates and changes and bug fixes and adding new content. And it's mainly, obviously, because it's still an early release. So he's trying to improve it as much as possible. And he's great. It's only one developer, by the way.
It's amazing.
He's crazy. And I think he's in his early to mid 20s. But he's taking everyone's feedback. He has a ton of streamers that he works closely with, content creators, and he's just constantly trying to improve the game. And I know at first glance it seems like a really simple and borderline, for some people, maybe boring game, but there's so much to it, and strategy, and they just came out with all these really difficult objectives. It's exciting to play a game that's super new, and it's always changing, and it's changing for the better, in my opinion. So I've been having a lot of fun with Phasmophobia. So I'd say that's probably what I've been playing the most, which doesn't surprise anybody, I'm sure. And then obviously with you guys, I've been playing Apex, so no more Warzone. Now I can say I have not played Warzone since the last Warzone Wednesday.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
You're not alone. Yeah.
Apex has been fun though. I really like Loba. For everyone out there who's an Apex fan, Loba is bae. Awesome. And then I've been playing a little bit of ESO on and off. Not enough to really brag about. I just attended my cousin Haybex's wedding in ESO today.
Nice.
Yeah, I had to figure out how. I'm such a noob in this game, and I haven't really played it in so long. So I'm trying to figure out how to put on an outfit first of all. So I finally figured that out. And then I'm like, wait, how do I get there? So then our friend Jonathan was on. So I messaged him and I'm like, are you on? Can we be friends on here? Because we apparently hadn't done that yet, which I thought we did. So then I was able to travel to him, and then I couldn't find where they were in the town, but then I found them, and then I couldn't figure out how to emote or how to chat. It was a struggle. It was overwhelming. It was hilarious though, and it was really fun.
And you dueled Jonathan?
Yep, and then I told Jonathan I wanted to duel him, and then he just disposed of me in 3 seconds flat, because he's way better at this game than I am already. And I also had no idea what I was doing, but it was good. It was fun. What else? I'm still playing that mobile game that I told you guys about, Vikings Clash of Clans. That's been fun as well. It's still because I think that streamer that I follow, a lot of his chat is in that game, and they're very active. So our clan is very strong. So it's not painful where we're constantly getting attacked by other people, and we can actually defend ourselves. So I've been sticking to it. Yeah, it's been fun. It's gotten to the point where it's definitely like if you want to improve, you must put real life money into the game
Oh,
because
that's the worst.
something simple like upgrading my forge in order to build bigger like buildings and stuff takes like 458 weeks or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, are
Oof.
you kidding me? Come on. Who the heck is going to do that? And the problem with that is, and I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure once you either can pay with gold, which you have to put real life money in to get most of the time, or you pay with resources that you collect. And even if you pay with resources, once you click to confirm that you're going to do 458 weeks, I don't know if there's a way to cancel it. So you could potentially be screwing yourself over if you accidentally do that. But yeah, it's been fun.
8 years?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
That's a long time.
Uh-huh. Yep. I'm hoping, I don't know because I'm too afraid to click on it. I'm hoping it does give you a chance to cancel it, even if you accidentally do it.
I would think so, because it wouldn't be good for the game if they won't let you,
right.
once you click it, not be able to buy it.
Yeah, it's a little crazy, but
Maybe it won't be, you won't be able to cancel it, but the only way to stop it would be to pay the money.
Yeah, either that or you just lose. Yeah, that's probably.
That's probably the it's like, well, you can wait the 400 weeks, or
you could just pay for it.
You can pay $9.99 and it'll come now.
Yeah, and the game does have a ton of very cheap like packages that you can buy. So for like $5, you could have like $4 million in gold or something in the game, and you're like, well, that makes more sense than me waiting 8 years to play this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still fun, and you can play it for free. Essentially, you just can't get as far as you'd want to potentially. And then I've been playing a little bit of Monster Hunter World, but now I started playing Monster Hunter Rise. I was playing the demo, and I really like it, so I decided I'm gonna get it. Now that it's not to date us. Now that it's officially out, I can actually play it, which brings me back to my point of less DVD, because I'm pretty sure on Game Vault we're going to stop DVD on Saturdays and Fridays and do Monster Hunter Rise instead. But
big news, folks.
Big news. You heard it here first.
Switching up the content.
Switching it up. Yeah. Plus, everyone gets enough of me playing it on my own channel anyway, so might as well have as much as we can do, as much of different games as we can play.
Yep.
But I think that's pretty much it. Aside from our Retro Roulette game.
I hope you had fun with that.
Yeah, I did. I'll talk about it more later. I didn't hate it. I'll say that much now.
Well, that's good. As long as you didn't hate it, that's a good start.
Yes,
all right.
This is true. It was a big improvement from last.
All right. So I have been playing all kinds of stuff. I was messing around with the Super Nintendo. I was playing some Top Gear for the Super Nintendo, which is a racing game, which now that I've mentioned it, I'm sure we'll end up playing this week.
Yep.
It's just the way it goes. Then I was playing some Super Mario World for the SNES as well. Just messing around, going through a few levels here and there. I wasn't like actively trying to beat it, because that's the beauty of Super Mario World, is you don't need to do that. You can just play a few levels and put it down after you save, which is nice. And I was also goofing around in Forza Horizon 4 some more. Again, the same thing. You can just kind of go through and do tasks, and it's kind of like a open world MMO type game for driving, which is awesome. And I love that. I love that I can just go in and do like daily challenges and then just not have to worry about logging back in for another month.
Yeah.
And then the big one I've been playing is Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and I have some thoughts.
So, how much do you hate card games now?
Oh, dude, I hate it so bad. It's so the main problem is that it wants to be a card game, but at the same time it's not. So, like, if you wanted to, you could just spam the X button over and over and over and continue doing attacks. You'll eventually run out and have to refill them, but you can play it like a Kingdom Hearts game. But I've gotten to a point where I have to have a strategy against a boss, and I've lost like 5 times. And I was one of those games where like, all right, I need to stop and come back because I just don't know. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, there's no. I'm probably gonna have to watch a YouTube video on strategies, because there's like no, like, there's no guidance on how to do things with these with the cards. So like one card is an attack or a heal or refills your or an ether or so any
Yeah.
anything like that. So but the attack ones have numbers, and if it has a a number equal to or less than actually if it has a number equal to or more than a card that someone's attacking you with, you can cancel their attack.
No. Okay.
But if you go to attack and someone does the same thing, your attack gets canceled out, or your heal or your summon or whatever. If there's a number higher than the one that you were going to use, it cancels it. So if you're like trying to heal, they can cancel it, which is some bullshit.
That's super annoying.
So
bullshit.
it's just been trying to figure out card strategies and like because the attacks you can also do like combo attacks.
Mm-hmm.
You can like bank 3 attacks together and they could do like a special attack. But if you bank those 3 cards and do that, you lose those cards for that fight. So if you do it too many times, you could have no cards.
Which is a problem.
So that's another thing. Like they didn't explain how to do that very well. So I have to I'm going to have to watch videos and kind of like study because I'm only on the second world and I'm already getting my ass kicked by a boss. So that's not good. And there's like there's a leveling system, but it's not like a normal like RPG leveling system. When you level up, you have the choice to either increase your HP, CP, which is card power, of course, and the last thing is you can unlock a new ability, which is basically what happens when you bank the cards. Like when you bank three or more cards, it could trigger one of these abilities. But that's not available all the time. But the CP and HP are available all the time. So it's just been a really sharp learning curve and trying to figure out what cards I need, what cards are crap, and what to do against certain enemies. Because some enemies, the enemies still act the same and react the same as they do in the normal game. So like the big fat enemy that you can't attack from the front and your attacks just bounce off of it. You still can't attack it from the front in this game, even though it's card based. You have to either get behind it, which you can't, spoiler alert, or use magic. And you only have in my deck right now I only have 1 magic attack. So
oh wow.
I have to scroll through to get to that card every time I want to attack these things, and it's just super annoying. But I'm hoping I get enough through the story that it carries it, because I've already met Axel, which if you've played Kingdom Hearts 2, or 3 even, you know who Axel is. But he doesn't. I didn't realize he was in a game before Kingdom Hearts 2. So it's interesting that he's in this game. And now I know I have to play all the freaking side games because I'm sure all these characters show up somewhere. So
that's funny.
It's going to be a long road.
They got you.
They did. I bought the story so far. Oh, and so our big announcement is that Mark and I were able to get ourselves PS5s.
Yes.
Woohoo!
So
thank you, Walton family.
Yeah, and we got them on the same day somehow. I don't know how we managed that.
Within 2 hours of each other, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
Thank God Walmart's cart system is broken. That's all I got to say.
Yeah. It's nice. Still a little nervous because I haven't gotten the shipping email yet, but
yeah. I won't be celebrating until it's on its way to me. Actually, I won't be celebrating until it's at my doorstep, because people have been stealing them out of UPS trucks and FedEx trucks. So when it's in my hands on my entertainment center, then I will be happy.
Yeah. Good point.
But yeah, that's pretty much all the news. And the fact that I have a PS5 coming means we'll get to play Intergrade
Nice.
right off the bat.
Yeah, boy.
And I'll be taking a week off just to play Intergrade. God, I hope I don't need a week to beat that game. But yeah. So speaking of Sony, Jen, I'm sure you have lots of notes and news for this week.
Yeah. I'm trying to make my notes big enough so I could read them. Okay. So I'll start out with one that I thought was interesting in a personal way, and I'm assuming that at least you, Tom, might be interested in this. I'm not sure about Mark, but we'll find out. So I'll say, if you're anything like me, one of the perks from working from home is being able to play music as loud as you want without having to wear headphones and worry about distracting one of your coworkers. So I do that a lot when I work. So I found out that you can actually play any Halo menu music you want by going to this website. So what you do, it's a 24/7 playlist, so it's on loop forever. So you basically go to this website, you select the game that you want to listen to the music for, and they actually recreate the game starting menu too. It's like an animation of it. So you can literally leave it up on your computer as if you're on your Xbox and you're just idling because you want to listen to the really awesome Halo music.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so it's basically like Halo lo-fi, if you want to think of it that way. But it's really cool. So right now your options are Halos 1, 2, and 3 are one playlist. Then they have Mythic, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo Reach is another one. They have 4 and 5. Then they have Halo Wars, and then they actually have the Halo Infinite demo music.
Okay.
So they're very thorough in the music that they have collected. So if you guys at home want to visit this, you have to go to, it's Halloumi. I'll spell it. It's never mind. I just realized what it stands for. Wow. HALOME.NU. Halo menu, basically. And select the game you want to listen to. So I did it, and it was awesome. So, like I said, if you guys are feeling nostalgic for some Halo music, which who isn't, that is currently the best place to go if you want to just vibe out and not have to worry about, going on YouTube and dealing with commercials and having it run out on you. So yeah, I wanted to mention that because I thought it was interesting.
I very well may need to check that out because I love Halo music.
Yeah. So again, it's Halo ME and then .NU. I can't believe I just made that connection while I was saying it.
Remember, Tom, it's Halo menu.
It's just basically Halo menu, but the ME and the NU are separated by a dot.
Yep.
That's it.
Got it.
Wow. Dumb. Moving on. So this is on the same vein of you guys getting PS5s. I figure we can delve into the fun GPU madness that's going on right now.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you are anybody that's interested in PC gaming, specifically custom PC builds, you would be very well aware that AMD came out with the 6700 XT on March 18th at 9 a.m. Eastern time.
Supposedly.
And you would also know that in like 2 minutes, they were completely sold out everywhere, literally everywhere. And then within a half hour, you can go on eBay and find all these postings that were trying to sell them for like 3 to 4 times as much money at least. And this is nothing new. So obviously there's a huge shortage because they're selling out so fast and they're being relisted for these insane prices. And it's extremely frustrating because it kind of feels like a lot of retailers really aren't doing much about the scalpers and the resellers. Like it's just very frustrating. I attempted to do this and I did not succeed. It was the same day you guys got your PS5. So I'm glad that there was some good news that came out of our efforts that day. Yeah. So ever since then, I've been kind of looking into more tech stuff a bit more than I usually do. So I found 2 mini news stories that I wanted to bring up on this topic.
Okay. So
GameStop is adding PC gaming hardware to its website. So you can actually purchase PC gaming hardware through them. Of course, as soon as people discovered this, all their GPUs sold out. So sorry, this isn't good news that there are GPUs on GameStop. But it'll just be an extra place for people to go once GPUs come back into stock, so you can see them sell out in 2 minutes. So that was that. They currently have pretty much everything else though. So if you need like motherboards, pre-built PCs, like all that kind of stuff, you can go on their website now and see what they have. So it's interesting. Their CEO, George Sherman, said that they are delving a lot deeper into PC gaming. So they are going to be coming out with a lot more gaming products aside from what they currently have now. So that should be interesting to keep an eye on at least. Some people are speculating it's because they reported a loss last year. So they might be trying to make up for it, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I find it interesting that they're trying now. Like, this is the absolute worst time to be selling stuff.
Yeah.
No, it's GameStop.
It's GameStop, yeah.
I mean, did they go, oh, we have all this extra revenue from Reddit, like buying all our stock? Do we have all this
That's what it
extra
was.
revenue? We need to spend it on something?
Who knows?
Like, whose bright idea was, oh, I got an idea. Let's get into PC gaming the minute that there's the worst chip shortage of all time.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, like I said, I mean, we can just add it to our list of retailers that we have to stock every time a new graphics card is coming out, in the hopes that maybe we'll get to buy one for retail price. And not even retail price, because actually when the AMD graphics cards came out last week or whenever that was, there were some websites that were upping them by hundreds of dollars to begin with.
Yeah,
Like,
so
we saw that.
there's a myriad of things causing this.
Yeah.
There were tariffs in place to keep like prices down because of things coming from China, and those tariffs are no longer there, and they're causing places like Asus and Gigabyte and all of those companies to have to now rate. Well, I'm sure they don't have to, but they've raised their prices for retailers, so retailers then have to pay more for them, and then they have to mark them up more to make money on them. So it's a whole thing, and on top of that, I think retailers are just scalping them too because they can. Like,
Yeah.
if you go on newegg.com, if you look up our RX 580s, which are now probably 5 years old, they're selling for anywhere from $280 to $500. The card when it was new was $230.
That's insane. Yeah, because people, it's like they just need something at this point, you know?
Right.
And everything is wildly overpriced.
The only thing you can find now are like GT 710 and 730s, which are like not, they're just graphics adapters. They're not GPUs. They just output a signal. They don't really help you much. Exactly.
It's craziness. So
yeah, and I don't know exactly what you do to stop it.
You wait for more cards to come in stock. I forgot. And there's a cryptocurrency mining boom happening right now too. So that's also what's happening.
To the moon.
So you need the cryptocurrencies to bust. You need the pandemic to end, and you need to stop bots from scalping, bots from hitting places before people, because that's really the problem, is the bots.
Yeah. And the bots are so ridiculously advanced now. Like, this is slightly off topic. There are actually bots that search Twitch when streamers do giveaways with codes. They actually go on Twitch and they are taught to snag codes for like free game downloads that people are being given away. Mm-hmm. So people can't even redeem them because it's like instantaneous. These things just collect anything that looks like a code and send it to whoever built the bots. It's wild. It's like really bad.
Yeah, it's as dumb as it sounds. It started with like sneakers. Yeah. People wrote these bots to get limited edition sneakers like Air Force Ones and Yeezys and whatever. I'm old. I sound old. But they yes.
Can you say Yeezys for me one more time?
Yeezys.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Can you cut out a sound thing for the soundboard? Yeah.
We'll have a point redemption on stream. Yeezys.
So people wrote the bots to do that, and then they've in turn, because scalpers scalp, that's what they're going to do. They in turn made them look for GPUs, and now that's what they're doing. And places like AMD.com don't have any protection against bots, and their site went down the day that they launched their GPU, and no one was able to buy one from there. And people were bragging on Twitch and Twitter and Reddit that they bought 30 of them because they had a bot do it, because there was no protection against it. So fuck scalpers is all I have to say. That's all.
Seriously, that was the main topic, really. So my other mini topic under this was the NVIDIA RTX 3080 Ti is being assumed to be delayed again So we were currently expecting to see this in mid-April, but now it looks like the 5th delay may be happening where it's not going to launch until mid-May. And then if anyone's been following, originally this was supposed to launch back in January.
Yeah, so does he have to put it back in the oven?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
put it back in the
Jensen's got to put it back in the oven for everybody.
Yeah.
So everybody can look at his spatulas again.
Yeah. So we'll just have to keep waiting and hoping the release will be as soon as possible. Although I don't think they have officially announced how much it's going to be yet, but it's being speculated to start at around $1,000 pretty much. And then there's the fun of the scalpers who are going to snatch them up and mark them up for even more than that.
And people will buy them. That's just the way it goes.
People will buy them, yes.
That's the problem. That's the biggest problem is that people are buying the scalped prices.
Right. Yeah.
Like I don't need a graphics card right now. I would like one, but I will not bring myself to pay over MSRP for a card that I don't need. Like people are doing that just because they have a stimmy to burn. So it's bad. It's not good.
It's rewarding the bad guys is what's happening.
Yes. Stop it.
Yeah, stop it. Right now. So yeah, that was it. That was my little spiel on GPUs and stuff. Just because again, I tried to get the AMD when it came out and it didn't happen. But I literally couldn't even check websites as fast as it was selling out. Like I couldn't even click a tab fast enough. It was just it's wild. And I hate it. I hate the feeling that I get when I'm trying to do stuff like that. So
me too.
Yeah, it's anxiety and anger and all kinds of things. So, yes, hopefully one of us will eventually get a new GPU and not pay exorbitant amounts of money for it, because I definitely won't.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. So my next story has to do with hackers.
Oh, God damn it.
Being big old jerks. So there's a game called Outriders, if no one's heard of it. It's in early release currently. They are stepping up to hackers in an interesting way. So they just had a dev update come out. So not only, if you are caught to be hacking, not only will you not be able to play online multiplayer games with other players, basically you can only do solo matchmaking, which takes forever. You will also have a watermark over your character that says you are a cheater. And it will never go away ever.
I love it.
So literally, you are being branded a cheater for the entire Outriders world to see. Now, while some are obviously going to do this as a badge of honor because there are trolls that exist among us, they did confirm that out of 2 million players that they currently have in their system, only about 200 of them have cheated or hacked, whatever you want to call it. So they're hoping that it's not really going to grow much more once the game officially releases. But they did confirm they already have everyone's identification, like everyone that has modified the game, basically in any way. So you can't download mods, you can't change character art. You can't turn off what is that anti-cheat program. You can't do that. There are a few other things you can't do. Basically, any kind of modifying the game whatsoever, even if you're not cheating and using an aimbot, they're considering it hacking. So literally, if anyone changes the files in any way, you are already identified by them. They can already see who you are. They did say they're letting you, if you're one of those 200 people, they're going to let you make things right. So before the official release, if you delete all of your characters and your items and start over with a clean slate, they're going to let you go. Yeah. But April 1st is when the official release of this game is. So if you don't do this by April 1st, you get that shiny new watermark that says you're a cheater and you get banned from multiplayer. So playing on a team with your friends, essentially. So you can only do solo. So, if you want to make that decision and potentially have a game being ruined for you, go right ahead. Let us know about it. Send us screenshots of your hacker badges.
Being a cheater.
Yeah, being a cheater. I just thought that was really funny because we had run into a hacker in Dead by Daylight on a past stream where they were like moving at the speed of light, and it was hilarious and also infuriating at the same time. And Dead by Daylight didn't do anything to this person's account, and they were live streaming the fact that they were hacking, if it's the same person that I've seen on YouTube do this.
Yeah.
And their whole spiel is like, I'm going to do this as long as nothing is being done about it. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like anything has been done about it. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So I don't know. But yeah, I would be interested to see what would happen if Dead by Daylight did this, because the community is massive and there are a ton of people who, even if they're not using aimbots, they're going in and they're changing like the character portraits in the game, and that could be considered you're modding the game, you're hacking into the game, yeah, you're changing the game files. So I would find it really funny if Dead by Daylight did this. But we'll see. Maybe this proves to be successful and other games start doing something similar to this. I don't know. Would be interesting. Yeah.
I hope it works because, I mean, pirates and hackers, and you guys have your fun offline. Online is a totally different thing. And if you need to hack or put an aimbot on, you shouldn't be playing the game.
Yep.
You need to just be better. It's not our fault that you're bad and you need an aimbot.
Get good.
That's right.
So I know you mentioned PlayStation news. So I have a really quick one that I'm sure everyone heard about. I believe as of either yesterday or today. It's been announced that the PlayStation Plus or the PlayStation Network is coming out with 9 free games that don't require you to have PlayStation Plus, which is pretty awesome. I believe Horizon Zero Dawn, the complete edition, is in there. And then there are some lesser known games. But I think overall people are pretty excited about that. So if you guys are interested, I'm not going to go through the whole entire list of games, but if you're interested in learning what they are, you can very easily check it out. They also...
I downloaded the 5 that, or however many were available starting today.
Yep. I also finally, this isn't really news for mainly anybody, but I finally got the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yay. You did it.
Because it's literally free. So what better time than when it's free?
Now is the time.
Now is the time. And then some sad news for any PlayStation fans out there that maybe had older consoles that they still like using. So starting in July this year, the PS3, PSP, and Vita will be closing their digital stores. So I don't know if you guys want to go more into that because I don't own any of those consoles. I feel like you guys might have thoughts.
Yeah, I have thoughts because this is the sad reality of digital storefronts. We saw it with the Wii Shop, and now we're seeing it with PS3, Vita, and PSP. So we still don't really know everything. I imagine you won't be able to purchase anything, but we don't know if you will be able to download things that you already own. That's really my concern. And if there's any games that are digital only that you want from these storefronts, purchase them now, or else you won't be able to get them, which is what happened with the Wii Shop. I don't even think on the Wii Shop you can download things anymore. I think I think it's just totally gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
But I've been afraid of this for a long time, which is why I kind of during the 360 era, I kind of started doing more digital games, and then as I got to the newer systems, I was like, you know what, this could go poorly. So I kind of want to make sure I have the physical copy of a game, especially when the Switch came out. When I got the Switch, I was like, I'm buying only physical games because I know Nintendo and they like to take stuff away. So I'm going to only buy physical games for the Switch. And I might be a dinosaur. Old man yells at clouds. But we've kind of all seen the writing on the wall, and it sucks because I want to be able to play my games that I bought.
Right. It's crazy.
Yeah. Why are you yelling at Cloud, Tom?
It's not his fault. But yeah, Mark, I don't know if you have any like the same thoughts or any differing opinions.
Well, the good thing for me is that I didn't start buying digital till after the PS3 store, so I don't have anything I'm really worried about losing. I think I have some PS1 classics, but I don't know if those didn't transfer over or whatever. But a lot of them I have for other systems. I think the only thing I will lose the ability to download again if for some reason my PS3 bricks would be like Wild Arms, which I can just go watch my video if I get nostalgic for it. But everything else, I think maybe Dark Souls 2 I bought digital. I think that's it. I think everything else was disc. So, the only thing that this really, in a more macro look at it, than just the PlayStation Store is it really makes you consider, like, people are like, well, this is why you buy physical. But everything has to connect to the internet or the server or the store to be able to play. There's no like buying a cartridge, and just putting it in and never having to connect to anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the one thing, and I don't know if it specifically mentions in the story or if Jen had brought it up, but is the shutdown of the store just your purchases and downloads, and then your games that are digital? They may have not even said this yet.
Mhm.
The games that you did download that you do have, do they not work anymore if they got to connect to the server?
Yeah.
Like, what's the thing? Like, if something's got to check, for whatever, I don't know. I'm just like, how deep does it go?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Nintendo thing, and thankfully Nintendo doesn't do much in terms of needing to touch a server, so those games are all fine. But if anything needs any kind of connection back to Sony, and they've just put the kibosh on anything, then those games are basically useless. You have to start making private servers to run those games.
Yep. I mean, we've seen shutdown of servers for like EA games and like multiplayer games, but
yeah,
I'm worried about, like, will you be able to patch a game? Like, where will that live? Like, if you buy a game that's super broken, like, I don't know, sure, it's but Cyberpunk, and like 15 years from now, someone purchases a used copy of it and tries to download it, and the Sony servers are offline, or somebody tries to play it. How do you get that 100 gig patch or whatever it is to play it?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, and how many people will have to play with Peter Dinklage in the future?
Right. I kind of prefer Peter Dinklage, but that's just me. And I would love to see that make a comeback, but that's a whole other story. But the hero in all of this is Microsoft, because you can buy original Xbox games on the Xbox Live Store. It's like, with their backwards compatibility, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Yeah, which I think is like the main reason to own an Xbox console right now, is you'll be able to play pretty much all of your games that you already own.
Yeah, the only thing that's a problem is saves, obviously.
Right, like, saves is one thing, but if you just want to play the game, you have the ability, which is nice. It's not something that you can do on a Sony console. You used to be able to. PS3, you could play at one point you could play PS2 and PS1 games, and then I got rid of that. And then PS4, you can't play anything backwards compatible. You had to purchase the game again as a PS2 classic.
That's the one thing that always confuses me with Sony. Like, I know the whole thing with PS2 and PS3 being like different kind of computing hardware and all that, and it just makes it kind of impossible compared to what Microsoft does. But the chip required for a PS1 is like ridiculously like small.
Well, yeah, the PS2 had the PS1's chip in it.
Yeah.
So
so did PS3. You could put your PS1 disc in PS3 and play them.
Well, yeah, PS3 was emulation though, but the PS2 was actually hardware. It had the PS1 inside of it. So
yeah. And that was, 21 years ago.
Right.
That's the one, like I said, I could see the other two not playing well because Sony went insane with whatever CPUs or whichever CPU or GPU they were using.
The emotion engine.
Yeah. That it doesn't play nice. But that, I mean, for fuck's sake, you could just put DuckStation on the PS4 and be fine.
Or they could do what they did with the PS Classic. Like, exactly. You just use an open source emulator and just throw it on there. Like, how difficult is it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting, like, the PS1 stuff's getting to a point where it's one of those where you can play it on a toaster.
Yeah, pretty much.
The amount of power you need for it. So, but anyway, that's my rant on Sony. But not that I think PS1 has aged gracefully, as we found out. Because I think Driver 2 was a PS1 game.
Yes.
That generation aged very, very poorly. Outside of no, I guess technically the 64 is in that generation, but they are different bits back when that meant something.
Yeah, they worked much differently.
Yeah, but it's just you're getting into that where those people are now your nostalgia players.
Right.
Like, like Nintendo has sucked the money out of all of us that grew up with the NES and the SNES, and we will continue to buy whatever they purchase or whatever they want us to purchase because we will keep playing those games, even though we can play them for free if we know where to look. Or playing for $3.99 a month by getting the Nintendo Switch Online, and a lot of the games you would just want to play constantly are on there anyway. But it's just, I just don't get Sony with this whole looking forward thing that they do. At least they were smart enough to not alienate PS4 owners.
Not yet.
Yeah. Not yet.
The fact that they made the PS4 backwards compatible with the PS5 is a very big thing. The fact that you can just play PS4 games on a PS5 makes that jump way easier. Like, that's one of my things. Like, I bought the PS5 and I still play PS4 games. I can just put them in the PS5 and they will work. So that's one, like, I feel like all consoles should have been like that, but also now consoles are so much like PCs that it's way easier for them to move a game from one architecture to another because it's essentially just a PC. That they're using inside of these consoles. Like back in the day, they all used something different. Like the GameCube was a power PC, and like I said, the PS2 had or the PS3 had the Emotion Engine and all that other stuff. So they were all very different, and now consoles are all very similar. So I think that bodes well, at least for upcoming releases.
And my final thought on that is, at least the companies are smart enough to realize like how Nintendo allowed you to play Wii games on the Wii U because the Wii was the highest selling console ever. So you wanted to give those people a reason to upgrade and not go, but I just bought all these games for Wii, and you mean I can't play them anymore? That Sony's doing that with the PS5, the PS4. It's just they don't want to alienate 100 million people that bought PS4s. That'll be like, oh, you're not really doing anything new yet? Yeah, well, no, I'm not buying a new thing.
Yeah.
But what if you could play the games you already play on it? All right, buying it. These companies are a business. And the only time that's never been shown, like someone completely ignored that, is the whole Xbox One debacle. And they thought they were the smartest people in the room and just screwed that up. At the time, and it seems like everybody learned that lesson. Yeah,
and I feel like Microsoft has done a complete 180 since then. It turns out an Xbox One or an Xbox Series X or S is the only place you can play backwards compatible PS2 and PS1 games because you could download emulators on your Series S and X and play those games, which is sort of ironic if you think about it.
Yep, you can finally play Final Fantasy VII on the Xbox.
That's right. Oh man, but yeah, I think that's a good enough rant. Do we have any other stories to go through, or is that it?
That was all I had for this
all right, very good. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk. It's now spring is upon us. The first day of spring just passed, and it got us thinking: what games have you played, or do you play now that get you in that spring mood, make you think of spring? Because it's kind of a nostalgia thing. I feel like as spring rolls around, everybody's mood gets better. That you're not stuck in the house and it's cold, and it's just I feel like it's a good time to start playing games because it's still not hot outside, and you don't want to be outside all the time, but it kind of makes you think of like better times because it's not gross outside.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jen, do you have anything that sprung to your mind?
Yeah. So I was thinking about the topic, and to me, when someone, when you guys said, think of games that remind you of spring or that you'd like to play that are related to spring, the first thing that came to mind to me as a whole was the whole landscape part of the games. That's what really I relate to spring is what the game looks like while you're playing it. And you guys know by now, I've talked about this enough. Open world games are my jam. So to spare everyone from me talking about the same 3 games that I probably mention every other podcast, I'm gonna break it up into two chunks of games that remind me of spring.
Okay.
So I'll start with the three that came to mind were Skyrim, Elder Scrolls Online, which I'm separating them, and Breath of the Wild. Yes, I know Skyrim has a lot of snow in it, but like I said, when I was thinking about spring-like landscapes, there are plenty of places you can go in Skyrim where you get that whole coming out of the mountains and it's warming up and you don't have as much snow around you and it feels like springtime. It's definitely one of those games where you have a hard feel of seasons. So those three games kind of give me a very spring-like vibe. Like I said, everything about it kind of just lets you know that you're in some sort of season. So like flowering landscapes, really lush landscapes, a lot of trees, the lighting in the games where it feels like it's warm, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess Horizon Zero Dawn too, you can kind of group that in there also, because while there are plenty of like the frozen wilds, like I said, totally reminded me of winter.
Yeah.
But if you're going, throughout the world in Horizon, you can come upon some nice warm areas. So that would be what I would say my first cluster of games. When I think spring games, those ones automatically came to mind. Again, just because of the whole landscape aspect of it. But I'm sure we may approach this topic in different ways, which will be interesting to hear.
Yeah. How about you, Mark?
Yeah, so as Jen alluded to, I took this in because originally I had suggested the topic, and what my thought was like games that remind you of the springtime, not so much the game itself. I'm going to leave the obvious one on the table because I have a feeling Tom might choose it. But for some reason, and I don't know if they used the release around this time, back when we were in like 7th, 8th grade. So for me, that would be, 98, 99. I remember playing a lot of wrestling video games.
Okay.
Because it was the end of the school year, we, all the friends were getting together, it wasn't like, for some reason, it was just, those were the times when we would come in from, the warmer weather after playing outside, for the first time in months, outside of, playing hockey. And they'd be like, all right, what do you do? Oh, let's play some NWO Revenge. And we'd play that for the rest of the night in the air conditioning or, with the windows open or something. So first game makes me think of springtime, end of the school year sort of thing is definitely playing a lot of those Nintendo 64 wrestling games. Making up stupid tournaments and having actual belts that we took way too seriously. And getting mad when people lost championship matches because, back then it was real to me, damn it. And just crazy stuff like that. But yeah, that was the way I was taking it, just to remind, like, games that I remember playing in the spring and made me think of the warmer weather. And it was those, warm nights, whether with a fan or a window open or AC on, playing Nintendo 64 wrestling games with my friends and just that innocence of that time.
I like that take.
Yeah, I totally get that. And I kind of have something similar. Now, mine is a little more obvious, I think. It's the triple play baseball games.
Exactly.
So, obviously, springtime is baseball season, and I played baseball pretty much my whole life. And the triple play games were something special, I feel like. They weren't like the most simulation-driven games. They had a sense of humor, which I liked. And me and my friend John, who a friend of the podcast, we would play triple play 97 and I think it was 2000 all the time. Like we'd have do the sleepover thing and just play triple play all night. And it just makes me, as soon as I pop a game on and I hear Magic Carpet Ride by Steppenwolf, I think that was triple play 2000 or 2001. Every time I hear that, it's springtime in my head, and it's time to play baseball. So that's my first set, and it really that's more makes me feel like spring. But I have something different for the next one, so I'll mention that when we get back to me.
Yes. So I have two things. because this is why I didn't want to mention Triple Play, because I knew it was exactly going to be one of yours. I want to see which is yours. I have two of them in my head. What are your two favorite fake ads, or a favorite fake ad from Triple Play?
The Air Alaska, is that it? I
Yeah,
forget.
that one's pretty good.
I think that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, so my two is Ski Nebraska.
Ski Nebraska, that's right.
You know, for those of you non-geography nerds out there are no hills or mountains in Nebraska. There might be hills, but there's no mountains in Nebraska. Can't really ski Nebraska, unless you like cross-country skiing.
I was going to say cross-country.
Yeah, but the ad was a man coming down a mountain doing downhill skiing, and it said Ski Nebraska. And then my favorite was I forget the name of the airline company, but it was like it was a quick line that you had to catch, and I think about it all the time. He goes, "Whatever the airline is, now featuring nonstop flights from LA to Honolulu." Again, I'm pausing for people to either go look at a map of the United States or realize that there is nothing between Los Angeles and Honolulu
where there would need
except the ocean. So the joke is that they are now not crashing planes into the ocean when flying between LA and Honolulu.
Yes, these are things you could not get away with today.
Yeah.
Obviously, in the post 9/11 world, you couldn't get away with things like that. But
I'm going to look on my phone to see if I can find the Ski Nebraska ad. But they would put the fake ads like up on the scoreboards, and stuff like that, because they couldn't get real ads back then.
Right.
I don't know why, but
they didn't want to pay for them.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you would think like Rawlings or would want to be in the video,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not talking about getting like Gatorade or Monster ads. I'm like there were nothing, like not even like baseball equipment.
And that's kind of what made the games fun, is that they did this goofy stuff. And like Triple Play 2001 had this game mode, which was basically a home run derby, but you had targets. And there's one where they set you in a living room, and if your targets are things around the living room, and if you hit them, they like make different noises and they give you different point totals. And it's just a lot of fun because like the announcers will say, "Oh, we hit it off the grandfather clock," or whatever. Like they went through the effort to put stuff like that in, and that's what made me like the Triple Play series. And I'm sad that it's gone. I wish it still existed. Lamenting the death of Triple Play baseball. Jen, what's your second? Do you have a second one or half or whatever?
Yeah, so these just recently came to me, and they're actually more hitting spring on the nose, really. So I grouped them separately from the other games, and that would be Animal Crossing: New Horizons, Farm Simulator, and Stardew Valley. Again, really hitting it on the nose because I took this topic. But those three games are very they're very farmy, and to me that relates to spring in a way. Like planting things and relying on the seasons, and especially Farm Simulator is probably the most springy one out of all of them, because that's usually when a lot of, planting crops happens, and then obviously throughout the summer, then you're harvesting things. But I got super into Farm Simulator. I believe it was because of Mark. I think you played it.
Well,
and
yeah,
you told
I
me about
Stardew
it.
Valley.
The farm, actual Farm Simulator.
Mark streamed it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember it being so
incomprehensible when I
played it. Like, you actually have to be really into farming equipment to want to, if you don't already know how to operate some of these machines or even know what to search for.
Yeah.
You like really have to be into the game so much to even look up like, what the heck is this? Like, what does this mean? What does this do? It's such a difficult simulator. And I was like, challenge accepted. I need to learn about these things for some reason, because, me and my open world games and my customization. So that out of the three of them that I mentioned is probably the one that I would associate with spring the most. But yeah, those games to me are just, like I said, hitting spring on the nose. You're literally you're growing plants and you're harvesting things, flowers. There are animals everywhere. It's all kinds of spring-like activities that you're doing. So, again, I would say Farming Simulator out of the three is probably the most springy game, and not for the casual simulation gamer.
That's good. It's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Mark, do you have another set of games or game?
Yeah, so I think might just be tied up in I'm learning it all. This is just tied within my friends of school time back in high school and late elementary school. But for some reason, and partially with my sister here thinking about this, for some reason we would play the Resident Evil games in the spring.
Okay.
I remember distinctly nearing the end of the school year and playing a Code Veronica, for example, with my friend and needing to transfer his save onto my VMU because I didn't get the grenade launcher at the point where you need the grenade launcher, or it's not impossible. I found out from somebody. So thank God for YouTube Let's Plays. It just takes an incredibly long time if you don't have the grenade launcher to get past that part. And also playing those games with my sister at her house when probably had less homework and was able to just do that on weeknights, and stuff. But yeah, playing through the Resident Evil games, while more of a Halloween, you would think, October setup, it just felt like, I'm thinking it has to do with that, we would rather, or our parents wouldn't mind us, would rather have us inside, not being out in the heat or the sun too long, that they would be, yeah, fine, come in. You can come in for a couple hours, and do this, and we would play through those games. But yeah, it was definitely Resident Evil 2 and Code Veronica were two games that I played probably, April, May, time frame for the first time. And it's really weird, but I have distinct memories of it being the last things we did before the end of the school year. And it was one of the two things, well, three, because obviously baseball games, that I thought of immediately when I suggested the topics were the two I mentioned in baseball. So, yeah, again, definitely more of a distinct thing with my friends than what other people would do.
No, yeah, I have a super weird one myself. One game that I have that makes me think of spring all the time is Mega Man 6, because I got it for Easter one year because it was one of those bargain bin games that my parents saw and were like, oh, it's a Nintendo game. This looks like something they'd like. And it was it was one of those games that was $20 because it was at the tail end of the NES. And then it was probably a year after it released. So it was like a super bargain deal at Toys R Us or something. Yeah. And I got Mega Man 6 and I played the living hell out of it because I didn't have anything else to play. Like we've said numerous times, when you were a kid back then, you had a couple options of games, and that was it. You learned how to play those games, you got good at them, or you used a Game Shark or a Game Genie, which is what I did probably a lot of the times because that game is not easy at all.
Yeah, and I think you might have just cracked the code on why some of these games, the weird ones, came out. I think we probably got a lot of them for Easter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That one sticks out in my mind from getting it from Easter because I distinctly remember opening it in an Easter basket and then just playing it the rest of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I mean, for me, that's what sparked up that nostalgia was thinking about that game. But yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of these games is they can be anything and just remind you of something good from your childhood. And I'm pretty sure that's why we all still play retro games.
Yeah. So a couple more Triple Point 98 fake ads for you. There's Lobster Cola, a cola with a crunch.
That's right, Lobster Cola. Okay.
Mr. Drippy's ice cream, who says ice cream has to be cold. And one of the updates to the LA to Honolulu one was the airline now doing nonstop flights between JFK and LaGuardia.
Wow.
For those who don't know, JFK and LaGuardia are like 30 miles apart, maybe.
Okay.
So once the plane goes up, it has to come right back down.
Yeah. They're both in New York.
Yeah. Sorry, I found the thing. It was oh yeah. So there's also Chork, not quite chicken, not quite pork. Triplicate life insurance. I think that tie in, and Sparky spark plugs. But yeah,
I miss stuff like that.
Yeah,
everything now is trying to be too, like, the show tries to be too real, and games like what the hell is it? What's the one that came out for Xbox that's really cartoony?
Oh, RBI Baseball.
RBI Baseball is not real enough. So there's no middle ground anymore, which is what Triple Play was, which is funny because it was an EA game and everybody hates EA now. So the fact that I miss an EA game is sad.
Yeah, there's also, chicken fried sushi. And my favorite, which you had to think about it, is extreme dollies. Don't invite your mother to a dinner party using these. And then a gasp from an old lady. That's part of the ad.
That's when extreme was just becoming a thing. Like, everything was extreme.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, but I forgot about Lobster Cola. That one's really good.
Yeah, and I feel like that one's in like all of their games. I feel like Lobster Cola shows up a lot.
Yeah.
Ugh,
yeah.
gross.
But I was looking to see if they had any photos of the ski in Nebraska, but I couldn't. But it's just, it's just that's, like you said, the retro games. Like why would that be burned into my memory? 23 years later.
Yep.
Stupid ads from a video game. But it's because during the springtime is when you start feeling better in your mood, as you said, Tom, and you gather your friends. So a lot of those things are like shared memories that you guys laughed at, more than when you're stuck in the house in the winter, around Christmas time with games. So can't wait for spring, which this year just seems it'll be a lot like 2020. It'd be a lot of Hades for me.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. I think that does it for our nostalgia trip, and time to take out another one. Let's talk about our Retro Roulette game, The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening for the Game Boy. So
it was DX, right?
Right, correct. DX, because I have the DX version, which can be played on a Game Boy Color and give you some color palettes as well. And it has special features for the Super Game Boy for the Super Nintendo, which is the way I ended up playing it on stream and trying to get past this stupid boss, which I never did. So Jen, since you have become more of a Zelda fan since playing Breath of the Wild, I'm interested to hear what you have to think about the old ones. You have beaten A Link to the Past as well, right?
Yes, which is a good way to start off my thoughts. If I had not suffered through A Link to the Past, I said it. If I didn't suffer through A Link to the Past, I would not have enjoyed this game really as much as I did. So I'll like I said, I'll start there. This game, to me, I didn't hate it. It didn't really frustrate me either. I didn't play as much of it as you did on stream. But for me, the most difficult part of this game was trying to get a feel for where things were, because everything looks so similar. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of the buildings look similar. So right off the bat, I struggled to find the sword on the beach. I couldn't figure out where the beach was. And every time I would stray too far, I would run into enemies. And I died like probably 2 or 3 times trying to find the stupid beach. So when I found it, you do have to go past quite a few enemies to get there in the first place. So when I finally got the sword, so that was fine. I kept running into those barnacles on the beach, even with the shield out, because I forgot that you have to use the shield to push them. And Mark, I think you reminded me to use the shield. So even if you have the shield out, I think if you just have taken the shield out and you're too close to a barnacle, you still take damage. So you actually have to have the shield out far enough away and then push forward, and you push it out of the way. And you have to make sure you push it far enough out of the way that even though it looks like you're going to go by it okay, you still don't hit it and take damage. So I did that a few times. And then it was just trying to dodge the enemies to get to the sword. Once I had the sword, it was perfectly fine. I was like, all right, this is good. Now I'm cool. Now I don't feel really stupid.
Yeah.
So I got through, trying to think where I'm pretty sure I stopped. I know I saw the witch's hut. So I stopped after that point. But getting to the first cave, I forget the name of the cave. Getting to the first cave, I had a little bit of trouble with because I didn't know you had to cut down bushes and jump from that higher up level to get to the cave. So it definitely reminds me of A Link to the Past in the way that you have to kind of go to the right level. So once I found that cave, I know I had my first heart container there. One of 12, I think it was, heart containers. And then I kind of just made my way. And I did go through the cave where I did look at a walkthrough for that part because I remember how long it took to remember where to move, were they rocks, I think, the rocks out of the way in the right order because you can only move them once.
Yep.
So I looked at a walkthrough just to get me through that because I knew I wouldn't be able to get through as much of the game because I have very little free time now to play games that are not on any kind of stream. So I wanted to get through as much of it as I could for this review. So I did use a walkthrough, which was helpful. So I got through that cave. I saw my first fairy fountain. And then I ended up at the witch's hut. So I didn't play it a ton, but from what I played, it wasn't super frustrating, like I said. And it did have the A Link to the Past vibe to it, but it wasn't in a bad way. There were positives to A Link to the Past for me. But I can say that if I had not already played that game, I may have had different thoughts about Link's Awakening, potentially.
Well, yeah, you never played a 2D Zelda before that, right?
Nope. Yeah, A Link to the Past was my first. A Link to the Past was my first Zelda game that I had actually played.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure that was my first. Pretty sure that was my first Zelda game. And then I went through Ocarina, and then I jumped to Breath of the Wild. I know we had established an order of which I should have played the games, but I couldn't hold off from Breath of the Wild.
That's okay. I don't blame you.
Yeah, but yeah, that was my thoughts on Link's Awakening. I did enjoy watching you play through the game though, because I mean you and Mark both have more knowledge of how to get through the game because you both had played it in the past. Especially Mark. I know Mark remembers a lot of things with like the Zelda games, which always impresses me. Because even like if I were to try to help someone walk through Horizon, even though it's one of my favorite games, I would be struggling to remember some things. So that always impresses me. But it was a fun stream to watch as well.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Mark, how about you? I know this is one of your more favorite Zelda games.
Yeah, so this is, I think we talked about it. This is definitely a top 5. For sure, probably at 5. Jen did play the correct route to playing Zelda games, by the way. You really only need to play those 2, and then you can play any other one whenever you want. There's no, like, I recommend, because before I go on my thing about Link's Awakening, I just want to do a slight rant and tangent on that. Because both Ocarina and Link to the Past provide you with enough of that kind of Zelda that you can play any kind of that kind of Zelda and understand it. Like playing A Link to the Past, you can go back and play any of the 2Ds, including this one, and at least get the gist and sort of figure it out. Because a lot of them are very straightforward, except for Zelda 2. But that was a whole different animal in terms of it was more RPG-like and all that. And then playing Ocarina gives you the first foray into 3D, and you can play all the other 3D games. But the difference between the 2D and 3D is, as Jen found out playing Link's Awakening, a lot of the 2Ds feel the same and play similarly, with just different things here and there. Like this one, since it was on the Game Boy, there were times when you would not have your sword out or not have your shield out, which is different. So you have to learn that. But what I learned playing this game for the first time in a while, because I actually had this on my 3DS, which again had to take that out and dust it off, and is that the remake spoiled me, because this game doesn't look as good, doesn't play as good, obviously. Those are the obvious ones that you take away. But just the quality of life stuff with the remake is like amazing. Like I think I would have to amend my top 5 and say the remake of Link's Awakening is my number 5 Zelda game of all time. Not so much, the original one.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably like how I'll probably amend Wind Waker once I finally play the Wii U version, since nobody owned a Wii U. But this game is as Tom found out, is difficult in the sense that you have to remember what items do what, and on a Game Boy, none of it's color coded. Unlike in the remake, the feather stands out by its color. The bag that you can do, like the torches with, you can tell what it is. It just doesn't look like a black blob on the screen. So the quality of life upgrades to the remake is what made me. I got to the second dungeon in this, basically around the place where Tom was, a little bit after that on my playthrough. But I had no desire to try and finish it. It's just, this game is probably what I like about it the most, and with you guys didn't get far enough to notice it, is this game is weird as fuck.
No, I noticed that actually, with the owls and the fact that there's a fish and an egg on top of a mountain.
You're going around collecting instruments and seashells.
You gotta wake up a fish.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a guy that looks like Mario.
Yep.
There's a Yoshi. There's a, what's it called? There's a Bow Wow.
Oh, a Chain Chomp.
A Chain Chomp.
Yeah.
His name is Bow Wow.
Yes.
And it's just this whole mishmash.
It's like an April Fool's joke of a game, kind of.
Oh, are you going to finish the game?
No. I can say I will not. I already beat a Link to the Past. So
okay.
I'm good.
Tom, similar question before I say my next sentence.
Yeah, I mean, you could spoil it. It's a 30-plus-year-old game.
Yep.
It's basically theoretically just a dream. The entire game.
Link's Awakening. Get it?
Exactly.
So M. Night Shyamalan made this.
Basically,
this game.
What happens is that whole island is Link's imagination.
Wowzer. Is he
Um,
high on drugs while he's having this?
no, it's that storm you see at the very beginning, which looks much better in the remake. Which, for those of us that played the game, were the reason we got very excited about that opening graphic, because everybody's like, is this a Wind Waker thing? And as soon as I saw that ocean hitting the boat, I was like, oh shit, it's Link's Awakening, because that opening's very iconic.
Yeah.
And then they showed the egg.
The egg.
It's essentially that. It's not so much it's a dream like US Mario 2 is, but it's sort of like he gets knocked out on the boat theoretically. He wakes the windfish, and the windfish lets them get off the island, which is then he wakes up in his boat.
Right.
The thing is, if you play through it and don't die, which I died once in the remake, and I'm so mad, and it was a stupid thing that I did, not anything the game did. You get a special scene where, was it a dream? You see the girl that you met
in the beginning,
in as a ghost or something like that. Sort of thing. I think I gotta look that up, but you do get a special scene with her at the very, very end if you had not died at all in it.
That's cool.
This game is still fun to go through, even knowing that twist, because just the references they make in it to other Nintendo properties, which is what Miyamoto and a lot of them like to do in this. And it's one of the rare games where Miyamoto let that happen until, Smash Brothers, where he would let Mario references get in. Since he was producer of both, essentially. So my recommendation before we even get to the scores is, if you're going to play this game, play the remake. Do not try to be I need to be an originalist and play the original. The remake is leaps and bounds better, and it's the same exact story. So
good to know. And on that note, I'm going to let you know why I liked it and didn't like it all at the same time. So I played this game on stream. So I feel like playing a game on stream, trying to figure things out, is always a little more difficult, just for the mere fact that you're not 100% paying attention to what's happening on screen. And I was able to somewhat figure it out. It helped to have Mark there. He kind of guided me through some stuff. But the biggest problem I had was switching between items.
Yep.
So since this game was built for the Game Boy, which only had 2 buttons, you had to deal with, things not being able to have 4 different items at one time, which sucks. And it got old pretty fast, especially in like the dungeons where you had to concentrate and pay attention to what's going on around you, as opposed to your menu having to go in and out of it 16 times. And yeah, that was quite annoying, especially in that first dungeon when I was still trying to figure everything out. But I eventually got it, figured it out. It has a lot of interesting items, like the jumping item, the feather, and it has. Is it the power glove? I don't remember. Is it the same thing as the?
No, it's like a wrist thing in this. It's like a gauntlet or something in Link's Awakening.
Usual Zelda type fare where
it's a glove, yeah.
Right. Where you have to get something to be able to move rocks and things like that. Yeah. So,
and in this you have to get it to even lift pots.
Right, which is annoying because you want to like lift the pots immediately and throw them around and get rid of them and break them and get all the stuff out of them. But you can't do that at the beginning, at least.
Yeah, I forgot about that, actually. I'm glad you reminded me of that, because I stood in front of the pots like, what the hell? I just gotta smash this thing.
But yeah, I had fun with it, but I did get frustrated in the second dungeon with that boss, because he kind of can just do whatever he wants with you, and you have no control over it, which is really annoying, in my opinion. He kind of just runs up to you, throws you down a hole, and you lose all kinds of all kinds of health and lives doing that. And I just was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. So that's kind of where I stopped. I tried it like one more time, and I just didn't get any better. So that's where I ended my playthrough of it. But it was enjoyable. It has good music. I always like to try to bring up the music because, it could bring people through a game. Like there's plenty of games that I've played that the music carried me through. So I do think it's pretty good, especially for a Game Boy game. The things they were able to do with the Game Boy chips to get it to sound that good was pretty impressive. But yeah, overall, I had a good time until that son of a bitch. But yeah, goofy, weird Zelda game that if you're going to play it, you should probably play the remake. So let's get some scores. Jen, how about you? What's your score for this?
Since I didn't hate it, and I don't remember what I gave A Link to the Past. I wish I remembered.
5.
Yeah, totally, it was a 5. I'm going to give this a 3.5.
Okay.
Because I didn't, like you said, I liked it. It was a little frustrating, but it didn't make me angry. And that's all I can really ask for from that game, since it reminded me so much of A Link to the Past. So 3.5 from me.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, so 2 scores. It's a 4 for this game, but the remake is a 4.5.
Okay.
It's not completely perfect. Both of them. There's some major issues. The needing to use the starter select button or whatever it was to change items all the time is frustrating. But the remake it makes it a lot easier and a lot more straightforward. The only thing that stops it from being a perfect Zelda game is that, especially in the remake, the frame rate's not great. Especially when you're just out in the open cutting like weeds. The frame rate takes a hit, so I can't give it a perfect score because the Switch doesn't have the limitations of the Super Nintendo. So there's no excuse for 3 to 4 enemies and some grass to slow the frame rate down to almost single digits. At times, at least on the Super Nintendo, when that would happen, too many enemies in frame and it would slow down until you killed a couple, made sense. So that's my one big gripe with that game. But I recommend it if you're trying to get through all the Zeldas. Skip the original, play the remake.
Yep. I agree with that statement. I am going to give this one a 3.5 though, just because there was a lot of frustrations in the menus and having how you have to go about switching things, and it just kind of got old quick for me. So it could have been higher, but I imagine if I played the remake, it would be a much higher score. So 3.5 for the Game Boy version for me.
Cool.
All right, let us spin the wheel and find out what we're playing this week. Okay. We're playing Final Fantasy VIII for the PlayStation.
Nice.
So I've never played Final Fantasy VIII, as dumb as that sounds. I got so into Final Fantasy VII that I was afraid to play any other Final Fantasy after that until about 13.
So not. I know it's not great memories for probably people in the room outside of me, but I officially beat FF8 while waiting for my power to go out because of Sandy. So that's my memory link to that game.
Well,
just to let you know why I don't consider it one of my favorite Final Fantasies.
Well, maybe we can make some new memories and they'll be better.
Yeah.
Let's try that.
Yeah. So, and this is one of the things where I actually own the original disc and beat it on my PS3. So, but I'll probably emulate it or play one of the. I think I might have bought it for PC. Oh look, but either way, I can't wait for this evening. Sorry, forgot this airs on Monday now when we record it. Just one quick question in the podcast, and I'll bring it up again on stream, Tom.
Okay.
Do you want to learn how to break the game or just play it?
Maybe towards the end of the stream, you can tell me how to break it, but I can't. For a stream, I kind of want to play it straight.
All right, yeah, we'll play it straight. What I'll do is I'll explain how to break the game more than having you do it because it's kind of boring. But
okay.
Yeah, so we'll do that. We'll make that deal. I'll explain to you while explaining to you how to actually play the game, the ways it can be broken.
Okay.
So
sounds
God
good.
bless the junction system.
And then Jen can break it if she wants.
Sweet. Yeah. Can't wait.
Yes, it makes it much easier once you break it.
Okay. That's all you gotta tell me.
All right. So it's been busy around these parts the last few weeks. Mark, you want to let everybody know about Stranger Damies and where to see it and everything else?
So Stranger Damies, our D&D podcast. Episodes air on our podcast channels every other Wednesday with interstitials in the middle, which are either interviews, email questions, me going over a big thing that happened in an episode previous, just sort of like behind the scenes stuff, little extra content for the fans. We air our sessions complete live on Sundays, or like every other Sunday, which we would have done one. Our third session would have aired yesterday on twitch.tv/GameVaultPod. And so just look at the date on the podcast when you download this, and just go 2 weeks from the day before it. And that's when the next session will air. We always do it at noon, so be there. We'll have the chat up, and you guys can chat in there. We're probably not going to answer questions during the episode, but we do take a break in the middle of the 2 episodes we record, and we can answer your questions and chat with you for the 5-10 minute break we take between.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, the 2 biggest things I want to stress for Stranger Damies is I would love if you could send questions to the Twitter at Stranger Damies. Instagram is at Stranger Damies as well, with the hashtag Stranger Damies, so that I could have a Q&A episode at some point with the community. So do that. And also send any fan art over, and we'll put it on the Instagram for anything. So 2 most important things with that. Then we have They Call This Movie. It's our movie podcast. Airs every Thursday. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Spreaker. We're at the Main Damie on Instagram and Twitter. And then maindamie.com is where everything lives, all podcasts, all writing, just one-stop shop for everything we do. Just head on over there. And you can, if you like listening to podcasts in a browser, it's the perfect spot. Or if you just want to get a sample of one of the other podcasts without actually downloading it into your podcast app, you can listen on over there. So, Jen, what's that streaming schedule look like?
So, as we've already mentioned, Monday is today when you are listening to this. So we are playing Retro Roulette tonight. Then Tuesday is always our day off, which is nice because we usually stream pretty much every single day, except for Tuesdays for the most part. Wednesday has now become Apex After Dark, where the three of us play Apex Legends, and we're trying really hard to get better at it. I think we've I think we understand the basics of the game. We just have to get better at remembering the weapons and all that stuff. So if you want to either help us out or yell at us, whatever you feel the need to do, you can join us on Wednesdays for Apex.
And you can also send those anger reactions to @DAquino122 on Twitter.
Yeah, that's totally us on Twitter. Thursday is are we thinking that what are we doing about the Thursday stream?
Well, I think I'll leave it up to you to talk about it. By the time you hear this, be on the it may already be done. It may not. She's going to ask on the Saturday stream, which is 2 days before this airs, whether the community would want me to finish Trails in the Sky on Sunday instead of FMV Sunday.
Right.
Just because I had internet issues, I was getting one or less upload, which made it impossible to stream. I would rather give you good quality streams than streaming 480, especially for the finale of this, which it will be the finale. We do it Sunday, we can start it earlier, since it is a weekend, than we would on Thursdays. But I will be fine if everybody just wants to wait till Thursdays and they want to continue Contradiction Spot the Liar. Not that this matters to anybody listening to this podcast, but if you notice that there is a new game on Thursday,
then we already finished
Trails Thursday.
Yeah.
And you might be in the middle of the poll for the next game we're playing on Thursday when this episode drops.
Yeah.
So be sure to go over to Game Vault Pod to vote on that.
Yes, please. Yeah, so stay tuned for what Thursdays are going to become. But again, it was Trails in the Sky, Trails Thursdays. Then Fridays and Saturdays, they were Friday Fright Fest and Saturday Scream Stream. But now most likely will be Monster Hunter World, at least maybe most of the time. Because again, this isn't a game where I can see myself playing solo. So if for whatever reason I can't, jump on with Jonathan or anybody else that might have the game, then maybe I'll go back to Dead by Daylight. But we'll always let you guys know on our Twitter account anyway what we are going to be playing and when we're going live. So that's always the best place to find any kind of news on the podcast in general. And then Sunday, as Mark just mentioned, is FMV Sundays. Currently, we're playing Contradiction Spot the Liar. We'll probably have another stream or two with that game, depending on how quickly we can spot the lies.
Yep.
And then we'll move on to another FMV game. So it's been really fun playing those games. If you guys have no idea what an FMV game is, you just have to check us out. We're playing a very good one right now. It's very fun if you like murder mysteries. This might be right up your alley too. But yeah, it's been a good time. But that's our stream schedule.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. And just make sure you keep your eyes peeled on Twitter for any changes, updates, anything we will mention there before we do it.
Yep.
And before we get out of here, I just want to mention that we are an affiliate of Stone Age Gamer. If you need any retro hardware, cables, controllers, power supplies, anything like that, feel free to go check them out through the link in our description. Anytime you use that link, it gives us and purchase something, it gives us a little kickback, and it helps make these streams better. And it definitely is appreciated. Also, if you're over on our Twitch channel and you have a Prime Gaming sub that you are not using, it would be greatly appreciated if you threw that our way as well. Any little bit helps in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that is going to do it for us this week. I hope you all are staying safe and being nice to each other. And for Mark and Jenny, I'm Tom, and we will catch you guys in the next one.